So I have stumbled across a truly fascinating story from PC Gamer who are going out of their way to show us just how incompetent people at Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment truly are. This is a fine example of the media shilling for a video game that they don't truly have any excitement about, and I'm going to read that title to you right here. From PC Gamer, as Rage Factories howl about K-Vest looks, Star Wars Outlaws Lead says there's no point engaging with bad faith criticism, no nuance, and no possibility of real dialogue. Which is really interesting because I have seen people who have worked on Star Wars Outlaws and worked for Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft who have no interest in having a dialogue with people who criticize the features of their game, including that of K-Vest, the writing and direction of the game. If you recall in one of my previous videos, it was a while back, but there were employees that were working on Star Wars Outlaws. I think it was Massive Entertainment or Ubisoft. Shauna C. Jones, I don't know if you remember all the racist rhetoric towards white male gamers that was on display on her X posts, but she had gone protected, blocked me and a bunch of other people, and she worked on Star Wars Outlaws just like Avatar Frontiers or whatever that Avatar game was. So let's dive into this media shill post because we've got a lot of outlets who are defending what this guy has said about other gamers who have problems with his game. Now, it's not just the female character that people have a problem with. Yes, she is very poorly designed. They use a supermodel in real life to make this half alien, half human character in a game that has a bunch of chisel chins and cheekbone stuff going on. And she looks horrible from several angles, and people are going to have to play as her for a long time. For an open world Star Wars game, you have a little girl with a little pistol who does almost no damage to NPCs that barely react. Their AI in that game is awful. I'm going to show you guys some of the horrid gameplay that I have come across over the past couple of days. But first, we're going to read this article so that you guys can have proper context into what this guy is saying, and he has a lot to say about you guys. It says that Star Wars Outlaws is almost here, and you know what that means. It's nearly time to crouch walk your way into saving the galaxy, and so says our own Morgan Park actually have a pretty good time doing so. Well, in my opinion, a pretty good time does not really justify spending $130 for the full version of this game, but that's just me. So let's read the yellow highlighted words here. But Star Wars Outlaws features a woman as its protagonist. Oh, brother, which means it's also time for the strangest corners of the internet to spin up some of the most baffling discourse they can. So thank you so much, PC Gamer, for doing the exact same thing that Ubisoft does in ignoring the people who actually care about the quality of these games. But they go on to say, in this instance, a minority of very loud commentators have complained that devs have made Outlaws protagonist K-Vest deliberately unattractive in order to further some kind of progressive political agenda. I love how they sound like they have no idea what people are upset about and that DEI and ESG continues to not exist despite the plethora of proof that exposes itself every single day due to people researching about it. Sure, let's just pretend. They go on, perhaps Ubisoft character designers are the engineers of the human soul. So they're quoting an interview that happened with this guy that works at Massive Entertainment. He's the head of Star Wars Outlaws, and it says on the Washington Post, Star Wars Outlaws somehow made me fall in love with Star Wars again. That is something that I've been seeing a lot lately, especially from the Star Wars shills, but the gameplay and the ratios on those gameplay videos from both IGN, Ubisoft, etc. have been painting a different kind of picture, a picture that maybe these people don't want you to see. If you scroll down all the way to the yellow highlighted words, I've got something interesting to show you guys. Check this out. Like the political sphere, the video games industry is racked with discourse and misplaced rage around diversity and representation. So first we see PC Gamer shilling for Ubisoft again, shilling for the guy who says ignore the bigots, and now we've got the Washington Post doing the same exact thing. These people hate diversity and representation. All they have to complain about is how strong women are. They don't like it. Ubisoft has been the target recently with its upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows, co-starring the historical black warrior. If you can see it right here, it's highlighted in red because they're afraid to say samurai now, as it has been debunked that he was ever a samurai to begin with, and they're starting to realize that. So if you have not noticed yet, they have stopped calling him samurai, but they still want to call him a warrior, even though it was not proven that he actually fought in a battle. There was proof that he was holding a sword after Nobunaga lost a battle and Yasuke was one of the only people left, but hey, let's just ignore the facts once again. That is something that shills of Ubisoft and Ubisoft themselves love to do. And now we can throw Massive Entertainment under that umbrella with them. But they go on to say Black Warrior Yasuke in feudal Japan. Kei, meanwhile, is being picked apart for her appearance. Yeah, it's because she's poorly designed, and hundreds of thousands to a few million people by now have pointed that out. This feels like Borderlands 3 all over again. The writer said and admitted that the writing was bad, but only admitted it years later after he had been slammed over and over again because of how poorly Borderlands 3 has been written. It always takes years for them to realize the truth and admit it, doesn't it? Quote, this is what he says, Kei is meant to be approachable, a petty thief who ends up barreling through this story, making bad decisions and centered with a lot of humor, humility, and toughness. That's what's important to me, yeah. Not the storytelling, not the personality of the character, just that this Han Solo ripoff character looks both ugly and unappealing to play as for hours on end. But he goes on to say, and she's beautiful, come on. Well, I guess it depends since beauty is subjective. But when you have millions of people coming down on this character and saying, yeah, there's something up with this because of the supermodel that you have modeled her after, there's clearly something wrong here. It's not just Ubisoft, though. People have been thinking this way about Ubisoft's direction with Star Wars Outlaws because of these other corporations and publishers trying to push DEI and ESG really hard. They have admitted and openly discussed doing such things, and they've been doing it for years now. This is why gamers are pointing this out, but you have media shills over here saying, no, I don't know what they're talking about. There's a progressive agenda? I've never heard of such things. What is wrong with these people? Have they lost their marbles? And that's something that the media does often. That's just what they do. But sure, he thinks she's beautiful. He says she's beautiful. Come on, Garrett, he says. It makes no sense to me. I mean, not even a little bit of sense, not even one moment of reflection, taking a step back and looking at all of the controversy and backlash just to maybe consider just for a second that maybe she's a little bit poorly designed in a game that you have apparently spent a ton of money on. But he says it's not worth engaging with. If you engage with bad faith people, there's no nuance and no possibility of real dialogue, which I feel is a feeling that many people have had for a long time. And I'm not talking about developers, I'm talking about gamers who feel alienated by the very people they've been supporting. So he says, so all we can do is make the best game possible. Well, the best game possible, I suppose, by definition, for Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft is a game riddled with glitches, poor performance issues, rendering pop-in issues, poorly designed levels, enemy AI that does not respond, just stands around and does nothing, explosions that look like they came from the PS3 era, and a main character who seems like she doesn't even fit in the universe she's exploring. So we're going to take a look at some of that gameplay in a second, but we've got more shilling to discuss because the media across the board is looking at this interview and saying, yes, this guy is our hero. They are pushing back against these gamers that have called out our lies for months on end, years on end even. He says, those fans who say that this is wrong and that this character is poorly designed, I have nothing positive to say about them. Nothing whatsoever. Star Wars Outlaws director Bad Faith discourse about protagonist appearance not worth engaging in. So IGN reported on this too, and they reported on it yesterday. Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Garrity isn't interested in entertaining bad faith conversations about the upcoming Ubisoft games. Protagonist Kei Vess. Now, a lot of people praise this dude's previous work because he worked on The Division, which, by the way, the multiplayer in that game I did not find to be all that fun after a while. But I guess because he took over, all of a sudden he's a hero to these people, and this game that he has been helming is riddled with so many problems that so many people are pointing out, and their videos are getting ratioed into oblivion. So I'm not sure why they're defending him, but this is what's happening. I guess these people in the media just can't stand the idea of Ubisoft going under because they're parroting ESG and DEI policies, pushing out games that have mediocre level design, mediocre gameplay and narrative design, and are clearly pushing an agenda of some kind that they hope to continue with in Assassin's Creed Shadows with Yasuke, Star Wars Outlaws with Kei Vess, who is just one of the most unappealing Star Wars main characters I have ever seen. And for an open world game by a company who has catered to mostly males for all of these years to use all of these resources for a wasted opportunity with a little girl with a blaster who has different settings for it. I mean, come on. If you can't even get the stealth gameplay that you're forcing people to engage in to be somewhat efficient or enjoyable, then what is the point of all of this? What is the point of having such a massive world where the gameplay mechanics don't even mesh together well? But that's just me. So let's take a look at what IGN said said about the game itself. They said that it was amazing. They did a Star Wars Outlaws final preview. These guys wrote such a gigantic review, and in the gameplay itself that they show off to you, they have so much praise for it. What is so funny about this praise is that it is accompanied by some of the worst gameplay footage you guys have ever seen. And this is a post from Learning the Law. He says IGN on Star Wars Outlaws final preview, because I did not watch the entire thing. It's long and it's a bunch of shilling, so I wanted to pull out a couple of clips that I thought you guys might find entertaining. And he says, journalist, I'm having a blast with Star Wars fighting mechanics, and then video game completely broken beyond belief and NPCs wondering what the heck am I doing here? And it is pretty amazing. You guys have to hear it for yourselves, because he praises the game while showing us the worst combat ever. Look at this.
As such, the blaster battles felt like they had meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew that I'd be up against it. As such,
do you see that? While he's saying, man, the combat was just amazing, I had such a blast, and while he's saying that, the edited footage that accompanies his words in this video,
battles felt like they had,
it's just enemies standing around. Look at what this dude is doing. Like, there's 4 or 5 enemies,
meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew
just standing around. She's supposed to be in a cover-based firefight right now, and she's running circles around these NPCs that are doing absolutely nothing except just watching her and firing the occasional blaster. So it's just insane to see that this is happening. Think about all of the money that these people have spent on this game. I mean, this is a waste of resources, and this is supposed to be their biggest game, one of the first, one of the only open world Star Wars games ever. They had so many chances to get this right, but instead we get this?
That I'd be up against it. As such,
like just standing around doing nothing. I mean, this game is supposed to be huge. You can go behind stormtroopers and you just give them a light tap with your hand and can apparently knock them out cold. Watch this. Boom! Just backhands him, doesn't even use the full force of her arm. She just hits him like dunk. And that's it. He's out like a light, because that's how strong Kay Vess is. These design choices for both the character design and her animations are very poorly designed. And this is a character you have to play as for the majority of the game. I have no idea what kind of bait and switch they're going to do later on in the game. Maybe they won't at all, and you're just going to level up Kay Vess the entire time. Fine. But if you really think that a scrawny girl with a blaster can backhand a male stormtrooper in the back of his helmet and the dude just crumbles like a folding chair, I've got some rock steady Mrs. Freeze costumes to sell you, and I guarantee you they are worth the price. And Learning the Law goes on to say, the truly Ubisoft quadruple A experience, 4 times the ugliness. So IGN will show us the worst gameplay we've ever seen for a video game. I mean, honestly, they've shown us truly abhorrent gameplay, and they will say that while at the same time with a straight face say that it's amazing gameplay, that they're having a blast with it, and then they will go even further and defend the words of a head developer that clearly has his head up his butt. He has not truly considered the kind of ramifications that come with ignoring criticisms from fans. And he's showing himself to be just as incompetent as Ubisoft are. They've got problems of their own as well. And we're going to get to that right after we take a look at Massive Entertainment's website. Have you guys been on their website? If you were unsure that there was an agenda at play with both Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft, you might want to take a second look at their front page, because when you're trying to even obtain one of their positions, you are presented with a bunch of pride flags in your face. That is correct. It says working at Massive. At Massive, you get to do what you love the most while bringing your own exceptional performance into our ongoing projects and technologies, like Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Star Wars Outlaws, Snowdrop, or Ubisoft Connect. What does that have to do with pride? That's my question. What does having a bunch of pride flags waving around in a photo have to do with developing a video game that is enjoyable for audiences? Probably nothing if you had to ask some expert out there. But that's exactly what we're seeing, because they want to make it very clear to the people who are applying where they stand politically, socially, that they're all about the pride, baby, all about the LGBTQ plus community. And these are the people that that are developing Star Wars Outlaws. Shauna C. Jones, an employee that works on Star Wars Outlaws, hates white people, white males specifically. She's gone now. She's gone off social media. As far as I know, she definitely has me blocked since I reported on the words that she has said about people. Again, I want to remind everybody that racism is wrong no matter who it is aimed towards, but these people do not understand that, and they're employed at these companies that are willfully pushing an agenda that is clearly losing so many people so much money. But let's go a step further and take a look at how life is at Massive. It says that we're a diverse group of people that firmly believe in equality regardless of religion, gender, nationality, or background, so they don't care who you are as long as you support LGBTQ plus rights. So Christians are probably off the ballot in that regard, as Christians are very likely to be against DEI and ESG insertion into their video games and entertainment, but that's just me. Great marketing strategy, Massive Entertainment, which brings us to Ubisoft's strategy in beating around the bush and keeping their fingers in the cookie jar for as long as possible before they're basically forced out by the people who call them out. Ubisoft rejects requests to remove stolen Japanese reenactment group banner from Assassin's Creed Shadows art book. Claims files have already been deleted. This is from Bounding Into Comics, and this was something that really confused me back when I learned about it, because when this whole controversy started, Ubisoft came out and said, hey, our bad, we're going to remove this banner from all of our content, but then they said that they were going to keep it in the art book, and I guess Japan was not okay with that, and they started to call Ubisoft out, but Ubisoft was like, nah, sorry, we're keeping it in there no matter what you say. Even though we took it without permission, and it was proven that we did, and we already apologized for it and removed it from everything else, we already kind of made the art book, and we can't go back on that, so we're not going to go through the hassle of removing it, even if it makes the Japanese people really, really upset. It says here that Ubisoft has reportedly denied a request from a Japanese historical reenactment group whose banner graphic they used without permission in production of Assassin's Creed Shadows concept art to remove said graphic from the game's collector's edition art book. So they're like, hey, this apology and this backtracking that you guys claim that you're doing is half-baked. You've only removed the flag from certain things, but you're keeping it in your art book, which you're apparently going to profit off of when you sell it to people who ordered the collector's edition, right? So they're saying that you can't really do that, and Ubisoft's like, nope. Sorry, we don't like the Japanese people. We definitely don't like them enough to respect their wishes. That is for certain. As previously reported, the Sekigahara Teppotai is a Japanese reenactment group dedicated primarily to teaching the public about the use of matchlock rifles during the Battle of Sekigahara, a historically significant conflict whose outcome marked the beginning of the Tokugawa shogunate's centuries-long rule over Japan. Much to the group's surprise, upon the reveal of Assassin's Creed Shadows' first batch, they realized that they stole it. Assassin's Creed Shadows was stealing artwork straight from their banner. It's almost like a 1-1 copy. And following that outcry from both players and the SRC themselves, Ubisoft would eventually offer a direct apology. And they're like, sorry, but they're not really sorry because they just said that they're not going to remove it from their art book. So that isn't really a complete removal or apology, is it? We have been notified that the flag of Sekigahara Teppotai has been used without permission in 2 pieces. We have given the dev team an opportunity to apologize and have accepted the situation. Yeah, they've accepted it so much that they've accepted that they're going to keep it going no matter what the Japanese people say, but they said there will be no further use or distribution of the artwork. We sincerely apologize for this matter. Why are they saying that they're going to stop the distribution and use of the artwork, and then they have it in their art book that they are still distributing out to people and using? That makes absolutely zero sense to me. So they're selling the artwork, but they're saying that they're not going to sell the artwork. So they're lying again. Wow, what a big surprise. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm referring to the entitlement of Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment. These people will just go on Amazon and steal replicas from a bunch of other TV shows, banners from rifle corps without permission. They will make Yasuke a legendary samurai, even though historically he never was, and then they'll double down on all those lies and then blame gamers for pointing them out. And that's why we're here. However, just 3 days later, a member of the SRC would reveal that we had another discussion with the Sekigahara Rifle Corps, and we have asked Ubisoft to remove the pictures used in the art book. I don't know if this is possible, but I have contacted them through support. Unfortunately for the group, per the member's own tweet history, rather than receiving any assistance from Ubisoft, they would instead be met with roughly 2.5 weeks of complete radio silence. So Ubisoft was just like, And this guy was like, oh, hey, where are you guys at? So when they weren't getting what they wanted, they got a response from Ubisoft that did not satisfy their questions. Ubisoft said, sorry that we just can't go through with removing it from our art book. They said, I received a message from Ubisoft support today. The details are as follows. I printed it out so I can't delete it now. It's difficult to make out the text from the image. The image has been deleted from the system managed by Ubisoft. I'm sorry I couldn't meet your request. In bullet points, that's what happened. So their attempts to work with Ubisoft directly went nowhere. The group has since taken to reaching out to Assassin's Creed Shadows' Japanese distributor, Square Enix. So they dragged Square Enix into this because they realized that Ubisoft was not going to move the needle for them at all. As of writing, it appears Square Enix has yet to respond to the SRC's plea for help. So Ubisoft ain't budging. Square Enix right now is not budging, and it's going nowhere. When the Japanese people call out this nonsense, Ubisoft gives them a fake apology and then they go radio silent, because the truth is that Ubisoft wants this game to be released and they want it to succeed. So they're going to try and downplay and undermine and stall for as long as possible, up to the date of release probably. Who knows how this game is going to do financially? I'm certain that it's going to take some kind of hit, but Ubisoft is probably aware of that and they don't want it to continue. So what are they going to do? They're going to gaslight and they're going to ignore, just like the guy at Massive Entertainment running the show for Star Wars Outlaws. He says, ignore the backlash, ignore the criticisms. If somebody says your main character is ugly and millions of people agree with that, guess what? Ignore them. Don't take those criticisms seriously, because really, you are an auteur. You are a master of your craft, a true artist, a successor to Picasso himself. Your character is beautiful, man. Come on, he says. This character is beautiful. Don't listen to anything that these gamers say. What do they know? When we have IGN posting the greatest reviews ever, showing us gameplay that everybody loves, oh wait, and other media shills saying, hey, gamers are the ones who are in the wrong. The guy who made this game and designed these characters and gave people 4 hours of glitch-riddled gameplay, he's in the right. It's the gamers who are wrong, and that's how it will always be with these outlets until they die. And this is a wake-up call that many suspect IGN and other outlets like them will not see in time before it is too late. Gaming journalism is dying, whether it be the people who are reporting against gamers and posting lies all the time, or people who are just posting regular game news and have been in the game for a long time. Everybody is suffering across the board, and some places are shutting down. Just like Game Informer right here, they have posted on X, final level farewell from Game Informer, and they posted an image and a letter to all of the people who have supported them over the years. The final level farewell from Game Informer, after 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end. I have to say, this does leave me with a somber feeling. I remember ordering from Game Informer. I would get magazines from them every month for quite a few years before I stopped subscribing to them, of course, and I don't know how much they have delved into DEI or ESG. I don't know how often they are against gamers, although I've seen instances where they have shilled for the wrong side on a number of occasions. But what this does show us is that Game Informer and other outlets who have been doing this for a long time are in danger of shutting down, and they also show zero signs of slowing down on the rhetoric that is getting them to that point. Kotaku is going down in flames. IGN has just bought a bunch of other outlets to merge underneath them, but IGN is also pushing much of the same BS that's getting Kotaku in trouble. And the more they report on these games in 2024, the more incompetent that they look. IGN has been dropping the ball more this year than I have ever seen them before. They're posting reviews that do not match with the words that they say. These gameplay videos that they're releasing on behalf of Ubisoft are not doing the game any favors, or IGN for that matter. In fact, it's getting a lot of people mad at them. But IGN and other outlets that I have mentioned and others that I have not mentioned are shilling for the wrong side. And they do it constantly. Exactly. They're always on the attack against people who play video games and criticize actual legitimate problems that may affect the enjoyment of these games, because the truth is the agenda matters more than quality. It's about quantity. It's about getting out the newest mainstream title with the current social topics taking the forefront rather than gameplay, story, and general enjoyment. I hope that IGN and other outlets see this as a wake-up call, okay? Even Game Informer, who has been in the game a long time and who I don't even know to be heavily promoting ESG and DEI BS, they're being affected by these layoffs, by the gaming industry just kind of going kaput. It's slowly imploding. So many companies are shutting down. Game sales are declining. Capcom is suffering, down 50%. One of these days, these outlets will realize that this shutdown, this end to existence is coming for them as well, especially if they keep it up. It seems to me like they will, but we'll see in time if IGN survives these repeated shill sessions. And when Ubisoft's game comes out and we get true thoughts from gamers everywhere, I do believe that this situation will become very chaotic. But that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow meow.